Do you like the idea of doing some doodling on some gorgeous watercolour backgrounds? Well, if you do, then stick around because I'm going to be doing a few watercolour backgrounds and we're going to be doodling on them in a future video. So today I'm going to be making a few watercolour backgrounds to try a few different techniques, and then we'll have plenty to play with and doodle on later when they're dry. I'll start by cutting my paper. I'm using an A4 sheet of all media paper. I'm using quite a few of them. It's a cold press texture, but not specifically watercolour paper as it has no sizing, but it's really good for all sorts of artwork and mixed media, which I'll be doing with this later. It's also really thick at 300 GSM, and although it does buckle a little bit when soaked with water, it does tend to flatten out again when dry. So what I do is cut a few strips from the paper, and I use these to swatch my colours first because I want to see what they look like on this particular paper, and I do often save my strips and scraps from trimming previous projects for that purpose. So I'm going to start by making many backgrounds today. So I've cut my paper into A5 pieces and a couple of A6 pieces as well because I want lots to play with, and I'm using separate sheets rather than a sketchbook at this point because I want to be able to soak them and dry them completely before I do any other work on them. It makes it a lot easier to copy individual sheets and to dry them safely because obviously sketchbook pages do tend to stick together when they're wet, so it's quite helpful to have separate sheets for some of the different techniques that I try today. So I'm keeping the paper sizes deliberately small as they're less overwhelming, they're easy to store, and I can do more backgrounds and experimentation and variety because I'll have lots of them. So I do have a full set of paints available today, and I'm using a set of Schminke Horadam in a box of 55 pans, and I already have these colours swatched, labelled and laminated in front of me, so that's a great easy reference for me to pull out and choose my initial colour. So I've started with wet on wet technique with this one, and I basically just soaked my paper using a larger flat edge brush just to stroke some water across the page, and what that does is soak the paper. I'm not going all the way to the edge though because I don't want a hard line, and I haven't masked my paper off because I don't particularly want a hard line or a border on this one. I want it to be very organic looking. I want it to be quite abstract because these are abstract pieces. So what I do is add, after I've done the water wash, which will help the paint to flow easy, and don't worry if you do the same, your paper buckles like mine does, don't worry about that, it will flatten out a little bit. But I start by putting on the most diluted paint first with my smaller flat brush, just using some basic strokes just to get it straight down onto the paper, brushing left to right, back again, and then I just move the paint wherever I feel like it, just leaving a small amount of white space as well. Then I move to the second most diluted paint and I add a few splodges onto the paper so it starts to bleed around, and then I add the undiluted concentrated paint into those areas as well, just building up the intensity a little bit and letting the paint bleed and blend together. And I'm making sure to retain the white space that I left originally, so there are areas of contrast too. So before any of the paint dries, I go in with a clean balled up tissue or cloth and just dab it over certain areas to remove some of the pigment, and then this achieves a lovely effect which is great for producing skies and landscapes because removing the paint on the blue background makes it look like clouds in the sky. And then what I do is just put that away for drying to make sure that it's completely dry before I do any doodling on that. So the next example, I'm going to use some masking tape. Also, you could of course use masking fluid if you like, and there are other resist techniques that you could use too, sort of wax, I think oil based things will also work for that. But I'm using some painter's tape here, some masking tape. It's not a very good one, it does tear the paper very slightly when I pull it off, but it's okay because that's just a little bit of texture. Now what I do is tear the tape because I don't want hard edge on both sides. This isn't to border, this is just to add a few basic lines onto the page, just add a little bit of abstract white space onto the page. So I'm just using it as torn on one side to give me that nice jagged edge and a nice line on the other side. So I'm just sticking it wherever I feel is appropriate, and then what I'm going to do is use some just fresh water over the top. Now obviously you need to make sure that it's stuck down well because you don't want any of the fluid going underneath the tape, so do check that it's stuck down well, otherwise if you get seepage underneath you just lose that line then. So you could, if you wanted to, use sticky back paper, so label paper or washi tape, and you could use die cut and sort of masking film and things like that as well. So you could probably die cut or use your electric machine if you've got one of those to cut various different shapes. But like I say, I'm just keeping mine absolutely abstract because this is just for doodling over at the end of the day. So what I do is use a clean fresh water and my large flat brush to wet the page again like I did before. And then I put, again, just as I did before, the diluted paint down first, leaving some of the white space. And I let this spread wherever I like. So I do find that the trick with watercolour is to let the paint do its thing without overworking it with the brush. Once you get in there, you keep brushing over it. That's when you can get the colour build up and it can look a little bit too concentrated. So just put it down on the paper, let the water do the flowy stuff and just let it move around as it wants to, and that way you'll get a nice abstract effect at the end. And of course you'll have that lovely white space when you pull up the masking tape. Now what I try to do is, as I build up the intensity using the less diluted paint next, and I make sure I get that on the very edges of the masking tape, and that's so that I get a really nice contrast between the white and the blue edge there, and I just really like the way that that looks. And when you've finished adding the paint, then just set that aside to dry and we'll start on the next one. So for this one I'm doing wet on wet again, but I am leaving a few areas of dry paper there. So I'm using the same brush, but just leaving a few little areas that don't have any water on, but most of the paper is soaked. Now I'm going to use the splatter effect here. So all I'm doing is just shaking my paintbrush with some of the diluted paint mix over the top of it. It's just making those lovely little drops, and you can see how they're dispersing really nicely because of the water that's already on the page. Now if you get some of this paint and you tap your paintbrush, then you get a more concentrated splatter effect, and that can look really good for building up some of the intensity and contrast on your page. Once you've picked some of the paint up onto your page, you can then start to move it around gently and just let the water and the paint mix together, and you can create some really nice runs with the paint and the water mixing, and that can create some really interesting lines on your page. So that's well worth doing, because then you've got some nice lines to follow when you're doing your doodling later. And when you've added enough paint and you're quite happy with the results, just set it aside to dry and get on with the next one. For the next example, I'm just using up some of the paint on the palette, and basically all I'm doing is putting the dry paper directly onto the palette. So this is my plain white tray, and because it's nice and smooth, when I stick my paper down onto the paint, just sort of smushes it all over the place and creates a really lovely random effect. And you can see where some of those splatters have been picked up too. And this is a really super, very easy effect to get something completely random. Now of course you can add a little bit more water if you want, add a bit more paint if you want. Basically just smush it around, move it around on your palette and see what looks good, and then just keep adding to areas where you feel a little bit more colour or intensity is needed. Really easy technique, but you get some very interesting, sometimes unexpected results, and it's nice and quick, and you can do quite a lot of backgrounds this way, and often they all turn out differently. I do go back in with my paintbrush and I just add a little bit of extra undiluted paint to the edges of some of those splatters. I also add a little bit of fresh water on there just to create a slightly different look with the splashes, sort of removing some of the intensity of the colour. And when you add a little bit more paint to some of the edges, that just creates a little bit more contrast. So when you're done with it and you're happy with your end result, you just put it to one side to dry completely. So for my next one, I'm using one of the smaller pieces of paper. This is A6. And all I'm doing is just putting a circle of wash in the middle of there, so that's completely fresh, clean water, and I'm using my large flat brush just to add a circle of water in the middle so it is dry on the outside of the circle obviously, and this way the circle of water will contain some of the colour in there. Now I'm using the most intense colour in the middle, and all I'm doing is putting a sort of a dot on the middle of the middle of the water, the wash on the paper, and then I am adding rings of colour around that initial dot, and I'm trying to leave a little bit of white space around each ring, so it's a little bit like the rings of a tree trunk, and I'm just leaving a little bit of space in between. Now obviously the colour is going to merge very slightly, you'll see that it bleeds out, but you can leave a little bit of space, and that just creates like a tie-dye effect on the paper, and I think that looks really cool, and that just creates a little bit of a boundary that's really interesting to doodle on top of later on. And again, just like with the other ones, just leave it aside to dry completely before we actually do any further work on it. So for my next example, I'm going to use the paper completely dry, but I'm using lots of different blues here, so I'm adding some other blues. So I started off with cerulean blue, and I think I've got indigo in there, and I can't remember what the names of the other ones were, but basically I've got a few different blues, and I also mix those together to create even more. And of course, by adding water to some of the blues, we'll create a lighter shade, so you'll get lighter values and darker values in this particular one. And all I'm doing here is just creating little swatches, little rectangles, and I'm actually varying the ratio and the size of some of the rectangles so I get a bit of interest. And with just those few colours, because they're of the same colour family, it all looks cohesive, but you get quite a lot of variety and interest in the picture itself as well. So this makes a really nice doodling background because you've got so many different squares there, or rectangles rather. They're like little windows that you can use individually, but also you can add elements sort of in between them and things to sort of link them together as well. So I really like this, and I think the effect is very good. I know it's quite a common one, and I think you can use any shape at all to do this type of background. So you could use circles, you could use rectangles, squares, very specific shapes as well. You could, I suppose, like teapots and teacups and things like that. But I think rectangles is a really nice easy one to start with. You know, anyone can draw a rectangle, and you can start off quite easy with the same size rectangle and then just infill in between. Now the important thing here is just to remember to leave the white space in between the rectangles and try to keep away from the first ones that you do, so that you don't go linking the rectangles together, because then you'll get bleed in between. Now while that can actually be quite a nice effect, and we'll probably do that in a different video, for this particular one you just want to keep your rectangles separate, so that white space in between is really useful. And I think the end result is almost like a stone wall, where you've got slightly different shaped and coloured blocks in a stone wall, but they all fit together nicely, but you have got that little bit of space in between, and these are really lovely to doodle over the top of. And just remember to add a little bit more water here and there for the different blues, and that way you'll get different values as well. Now all you do is just basically fill your little sheet of paper with your rectangles, so just keep going until every part of your paper is filled with the rectangles, and just vary your shapes slightly and your sizes and your ratios slightly, and obviously mix up your colours and your values as much as possible, and that way you'll get a nice variety, but it will still look nice and cohesive because it's all the same colour family. And of course when you're done, just set it aside to dry completely before we start to do any further work on it. And we are going to remove that masking tape, but only when the sheet is completely dry, and that way you'll be able to see the absolute lovely contrast between the plain white that's left from the original sheet and the lovely blue paint that we put on top. I think they've all turned out really well. I'm really happy with the backgrounds that I've done, and in a future video we're going to be doing some doodling over the top. So I hope you've enjoyed it, and if you have, please give me a thumbs up, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.